Hey, it's Drew Neiser, and I'm here with a Tuesday tip featuring Kevin Fliess, CMO, co-fence most recently, all-around amazing human being. Kevin, let's talk about metrics. Let's give CMOs three tips, three key things to focus on when it comes to metrics.
Okay, well, listen, I think metrics are foundational to your business. So you need to know what matters to your business. I would argue that marketing is there to drive sales. Hopefully that doesn't come as a surprise to folks on this Tuesday tip. So what does that really mean? And how can marketing influence sales? Or maybe even go beyond influence? I would argue that marketing can actually drive sales, drive bookings. So what we've measured in the SaaS businesses where I've been leading marketing organizations is what we call marketing originated bookings. You could call it marketing originated sales. These are deals that close that originated through a marketing touch point. That could have been a conference. That could have been a webinar. That could have been a high value web form. Or it could be a variety of activities that prospect took with you that ultimately culminated in an opportunity closing. So that is number one. I think secondly, what are you spending? You know, this is difficult sometimes to understand your true customer acquisition cost and what your total marketing expenses are. Let's remember, marketing is both people and programs. So you need to be able to track them both, understand them separately, and what is really moving the needle for you in terms of lead gen. Not all leads are created equal, and not all lead generation programs are created equal. So once you understand your expenses, you can back your way into what are you paying per lead by campaign type. And now with your marketing originated sales and with your total expense information, you can work into what I would call return on marketing investment. And this is where CFOs can get excited if it's positive. So
ROMI.
ROMI. So
ROMI.
So ROMI is those marketing originated sales divided by your total marketing expense. This is a number that's popular with a lot of PE firms, and a lot of venture firms. So what's a good ROMI? That is a great question. And I would say it depends a heck of a lot on your business. Anything north of 1 means you're generating incremental revenue for the business, but more likely it's going to be 2 to 3x. So once you understand your ROMI, you can then have a more informed and intelligent conversation with your controller or your CFO about your marketing expense and what they're getting for it. And we know right now that marketers are under the spotlight, maybe more so than ever, in terms of cost containment and really delivering more with less.
So if we look at the top part of this, we're going to divide it by CAC, or customer acquisition cost, right? The top line is one of those debatable areas. Are we getting a year's license? Are we giving them lifetime value? If so, do we do that based on churn? What's your experience with an acceptable value per customer metric?
Yeah, I think you take the total contract value when you figure out what that number is for marketing originated sales, especially if you have a low churn rate. If your customers stay with you for a long time, you should take the full contract value. Now, I would not include renewals. I think that's a little bit disingenuous. I would focus just on net new logos, as well as cross sales into your existing install base. So if you drive a close won deal for a new product with an existing customer, that should count towards marketing, as would, of course, new logos. But renewals, I would say those are off the table.
All right. So we're going to take lifetime value divided by CAC, customer acquisition cost. It's got to be at least 1 or more. And I think some of it depends on, with some CMOs I talk to, it really depends on sort of small business target versus enterprise, the sort of cost of sale kind of thing. Because sometimes that number, I guess, can get to 6, and PEs really like that, or venture people really like that. But that may be ridiculously high.
I think 5 to 6 is that golden number that certainly within SaaS businesses that PE firms start to get really, really excited when you look at customer acquisition cost to lifetime value, that ratio. So you want sort of a a 1 to 5 CAC to LTV kind of ratio. I think for most businesses, particularly as you're starting to grow your brand, and particularly early stage businesses, where you're going to have to spend more upfront to acquire customers and build your brand, that is highly aspirational. I think for businesses that are at scale and approaching profitability, that is more achievable.
Okay, so we have marketing accepting responsibility for sales with some kind of metric that gets at the cost for acquiring a net new logo. What we haven't talked about at all is if there's a metric for brand. Does that matter in these formulas? Does anybody care? Because we do spend a lot of time, emphasizing and building brand. Does that buy the CMO anything to have those metrics for brand?
The ones we just talked about are by far and away, I believe, the most important. Everything else is subordinate to that. So does brand matter? Absolutely. Things like your share of voice or unaided brand searches in Google, those are really important indicators of the health of your business. And those are good leading indicators of how you might be growing awareness. But they are subordinate to those overarching top level sort of financial metrics. So I think we talked about 3, and I want to focus on those 3. But what I would say to answer your question is every marketing function, whether it's global comms or marketing operations or demand gen or product marketing, should have a handful of metrics that they are responsible for that ladder up to ultimately support that goal of growing marketing originated sales and doing it more productively or more cost effectively over time.
There you have it. All right, let's go drive some sales, folks. Thanks, Kevin Fliess, for this Tuesday tip.
Thank you, Drew. Take care.